everyone. This is part 3 of the road trip series, and this is for anybody who is kind of newer on their spiritual journey, or maybe you just need kind of a refresher or something different. You want to do something different with your spiritual journey. And what I just want to briefly talk about is not to get overwhelmed, because you need to decide and think about and reflect for you what you want your spiritual life to look like. We are not meant to always be healing. We are not meant to be constantly looking for the next thing to fix about us. We are not that broken. We have fractures that we are responsible for repairing. But there's this really beautiful Chinese art that repairs fractures and breaks with gold leaf. And the piece becomes even more beautiful because it is imperfect. We are beautifully imperfect. And so you get to decide what you want your spiritual life moving forward to look like. It's exhausting to always be healing, to always be finding the next thing wrong with us that we need to fix. It's exhausting, and you get into burnout. And so it's exciting when you experience something, or when you start your spiritual journey and there's all these tools available to you and you just want to do all of the things. Yes. And there's no reason why you can't, and you can't dabble your toe in the things. But I don't want you to get overwhelmed with the idea that if you don't master those things, or you don't get to a perfect place in your spiritual journey or your spiritual healing, and you think everybody else has done it, why can't I? It's not true. They haven't. They haven't. And they won't ever. And that's okay, because we're not meant to. We're not meant to have that experience where we've just mastered it all and we're perfect and we've ascended. Right? That's not the goal. But the goal is to bring awareness to these things, and to give time and energy and thought. But also, once you've committed to a part of your practice or something you want to do, maybe it's tarot, maybe it's astrology, maybe it's the I Ching, maybe it's human design, maybe it's gene keys, maybe it's Reiki, maybe it's something, crystal work. Allow your spiritual journey to show you how that fits in your spiritual life. And if it stops resonating with you, then don't feel like you have to keep doing it. But if it does resonate, then sit with that and allow it to teach you, rather than you trying to tell it how it's going to fit into your life. Let it speak to you. Let it show you the way. And don't get overwhelmed in perfecting it or doing it the way everyone else does it. I don't channel the way everyone else channels. I have a blend of things that I do. And I do it differently, and I say it differently, which is why I'm not for everybody, and I'm not supposed to be for everybody. And other channelers do it for their way, and maybe they're not for you, or maybe they are for you. I don't know. But it's a completely individual experience, and we get to decide what that looks like. So if you're new on your spiritual journey, I want you to take time to really reflect, because when I first started, I was like, show me. Everybody show me what to do. Show me how this is supposed to go. And the mistake I made was trying to mimic everyone else, which sort of defeats the purpose of the awakening and the experience and all of that, because we were moving out of what everyone else does, and now you're embracing the spiritual part of you, but now you're just doing the same thing that you were just doing when you weren't spiritual, and you were doing what everyone else was doing. And some people call it like awake. Okay, now you're awake, but then why are you still using the same behavior patterns that you used to do when you were asleep, where you were mimicking what everyone else is doing because that was keeping you happy, or so you thought? So now you're in your spiritual journey. Why are you trying to do it like everybody else? Don't do that. Do it like you. Decide for you what that looks like. Decide for you what you're gonna spend your time and energy on, and don't be in a hurry to master it or perfect it or get it right on the first try, because that's not how any of this works. And you're going to be healing along the way, and so sometimes those are going to take a break. mistake, and you're going to put a pause on that. And you're supposed to put a pause on that at that moment, because something's about to come or something's going to happen for you, and that is where your time and attention focus needs to be. Does that make sense? So I hope that you, as you're new to this, or as you're trying to remember or kind of rejuvenate yourself on your spiritual journey, is to give yourself the time to decide what you want it to look like moving forward. You have that right, and it is your path, it is your life, and it's individual to you, and you need to continue revisiting that on your path. That's really important. It's not something that you just decide and it's done and that's how you're always going to do it. No, it needs to evolve with you, just as your healing evolves, just as your skill sets evolve, just as your beliefs evolve, so does your vision for what you want your spiritual life to look like. And it's not meant to look like anybody else's. So you're not failing at it or doing it wrong if it doesn't look like someone else's. And try not to take on too much. I definitely made that mistake, and I'm sure a lot of other spiritual people have too. I took on too much and it felt overwhelming. It doesn't have to feel that way. It can feel very rejuvenating, and it just becomes so much more authentic because it's just what resonates with you, and then you have gifts to offer in that area for other people, and that's what they're drawn to. So I hope this is helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful day.